and we can move on as far as I'm concerned. I wish the Power Glove that Captain N had on in the show was how the actual Power Glove that came out for the Nintendo worked. Because that thing was a piece of garbage. So,
anyways, this Castlevania show is actually based on the 1989 video game Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. By Konami.
Yes, I think it was Bridgerton.
The series follows Trevor Belmont, who defends the nation of Wallachia from Dracula and his minions. So basically, the second season was actually confirmed and renewed the same day that they actually released Castlevania on Netflix. So yes, Castlevania, the 4-episode season, is on Netflix. I hate saying that because it is really, really disturbing.
But the simple fact that, it takes so long to go off and make an animated series, we may not even see the second so-called season of Castlevania until, next summer?
Quite possibly. They haven't released a date for it yet.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, this show has literally been in developmental hell since about 2015. Oh, no, sorry. It was in development hell from 2007 to 2015.
So I'm just reading some of the comments. Season 5 is going to have 100 episodes, according to Weeb.
Yes. So the average running time is 23 to 25 minutes per episode. So for such a very high expected show, they really dropped the ball in my eyes. Everything just seemed to kind of flow together like one really, really overdone movie.
The problem I see, and I've brought this up a couple times in the past, when you have something that is as beloved as Castlevania, and you come out and you realize, hey, they're going to go off and they're going to they're making a TV show out of it. They're making a movie out of it. Hey, they're bringing this back. They're bringing back that. The expectation level is so high that it's almost impossible to go off and to live up to it. I mean, we've seen that with, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. We saw that with the Star Wars prequel trilogy. We've seen it, in countless things where people are like, hey, this is happening. Yay! Yeah. And have such high expectations, and then they feel so down because it doesn't meet up with what they want. Doesn't matter how good it really was. It wasn't what they were expecting. And maybe that's what's happening here.
We'll put it this way. The descriptions for each episode is literally longer than the episode. So they put more thought into describing how to explain the episodes than actually doing it. So it's got potential. It's got hope.
Would you go back and watch season 2 if they were to put it out tomorrow?
If they were to put it out tomorrow, yes. Do I think it'll survive the same if, we have to wait a year down the line for another 8 episodes? No. I think they'll be lucky if they retain half.
The nice thing about Netflix, though, is you can go back, and it was built around being able, to have binge-watchable content. So it's very possible people will go off, they'll watch these episodes, and then, when it's announced when season 2 comes out, people will then go back and re-watch those episodes a couple of times to get ready for season 2. I guarantee you, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to go off and are going to do that when they come out with, season 2 of Stranger Things, which is, incidentally, has been officially announced to come out on October 27th.
Yes. So that's exciting. And for the binge watching thing, every season that The Walking Dead actually comes back, I literally binge watch the previous 2 seasons beforehand, just so I'm up to speed, because so much happens that you tend to forget. I've also learned that sometimes it's kind of pointless because it doesn't usually start on how it ended, which is kind of disturbing.
Well,
anime is always bad for that.
Yeah, you would think if there was anything any genre of TV and movies that would be able to do this, you would think it would be anime, because the actors don't age I mean, for the most part, the voice actors are able to continue doing the same voices for year after year.
Well, and a lot of time that you only need to find another voice actor who can do the voice equally. And, there are so many voice actors out there that isn't as hard to do. But you do find one specific voice actor doing, the same type of voices. You look at The Simpsons, you got one person doing 3 voices. Multiple of them doing multiple voices.
Hank Azaria, he goes off and he, by himself, he does about half the characters on that show. If they ever were to lose him, they would literally have to recast about at least 50% of their characters just because of him.
Yeah, and it's amazing because I've always envied the voice actors because they have this sweetest job. They can become any character they want. It's an amazing feeling.
I've thought about doing it myself. Literally the problem is that you have to be able to maintain the voice of a character for like 8 hours a day, and that is a lot harder than it sounds.
If I had to do that, I would literally become the most racist character in human history because I apparently can only really do an Indian voice. It is horrifying. And not a good Indian. We're talking like someone who's probably taken a lot of drugs beforehand. So it's really, really awful. And
we're talking East Indian here.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. I sound like what would happen if, they were driving a taxi cab that like blew up and they got shrapnel in their throat. It's like the hoarsest drug-induced voice possible. It's horrifying. I
don't know. For some reason now I want to hear you do it.
Absolutely not on this show. We're gonna try to keep this.
Do it. No, don't do it.
We want to keep about half our fans, I like being at 4.
Yeah, we don't want to go back down to 2. Then it would just be Weem and Amy.
Yeah, Weem scares me.
It's pretty hard to go off and alienate Weem.
It is very hard to alienate Weem, and I'd feel sorry for Amy. Apparently, Weem says he's actually British, and he does a spot on redneck voice. I think it might be the other way. He's actually a redneck who does a spot on British accent.
Actually, it makes sense now. Dang it, man. Weem, you've had me fooled all these years.
And I'm secretly the Pope. The Pope of Ireland.
And I'm not really a redhead. My hair is actually jet black.
We're all somebody else.
Somebody else, yes.
I'm Senior Napper. It's my secret identity.
First Senior, each Senior Napper.
I usually become Senior Napper at about 11 o'clock at night when my eyes close.
That's usually about the time when my brain starts going overdrive and says, okay, what are you going to write now?
See, my character would be the easiest one to write because I wouldn't have to write anything. He doesn't talk, he just falls asleep.
So pretty much it would be like 500 Zeds.
500 Zeds. Actually,
or as you call them down and say Z's.
499.
499 because you do
and one dot.
One dot. Brilliant.
Now I just have to write a sidekick and different things.
So wait, is he a wrestler or is he going to be a superhero?
Oh, he's too lazy to be a superhero. We've acknowledged this because you can't fly while sleeping. You can wrestle while sleeping because you just have to fall over and pin people.
I still think El Narbalecto or whatever is a better name.
Yes, there's so many different things we can do. Apparently that was one of our favorite episodes because people enjoyed the fact that I was able to make a character up on the fly, and I have to admit, it was the easiest character to make up because it literally does nothing. It's like...
I don't know. I wish more members of our Carney Pro team had went off and listened into last week's episode. Because
I'll send them a memo.
Because that was it was hilarious.
It was,
And by the way, to all those people out there, from the EFED world, you know who you are, who have went off and retweeted our shows every week. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, including Zoe and Chris. You guys are awesome.
Oh, you wanted a plug from me too.
No,
you guys
not
are
at all.
awesome.
Yeah, shut up.
So awesome. Everything is awesome.
Yeah, you kind of had that used car dealer thing where you're pointing the fingers like, hey, you're awesome. You want to buy a lemon?
Hey, you look like an awesome person. Here, buy my bicycle.
Yeah.
So I guess before we end the show quickly,
There's nothing quick about us.
Whatever. Well, speak for yourself. Oh, wow. I just burned myself.
You just burned yourself. Yeah, baby.
Sweet. So anyway,
but not too sweet.
It's more salty.
That's what she said.
We both been kicked by this Pokemon fever. Now, I think I've gotten into it a little bit more lately because I'm enjoying this fact of seeing people gathered around where a gym is, battling this gym, only to realize 5 seconds later, I'm the idiot who comes in and takes them all out. And I sit there giggling as they're looking around trying to find. And it's not like a regular giggle of, I'm happy. It's more of a maniacally...
So what, you kind of go off and you ruin gym battles?
Absolutely. Actually, yesterday I was sitting down at the Forks, and there's this one gym that literally is on top of a bridge. Well, I sat underneath the bridge where nobody else could see me while everybody was up top battling it. And I literally joined in with them to battle this gym to get it knocked down. Threw my Pokemon in at the as soon as it was beaten, because I got the notice saying that I helped defeat it, so I was able to put a Pokemon in. So I threw one in after they spent about 20 minutes battling this gym to get it down to the perfect level for me to take over. It was the most epic, because as I'm sitting there, all I hear is, "Oh no! Somebody stole the gym!" And I'm underneath the bridge, giggling maniacally.
No, you don't giggle maniacally. You giggle like a schoolgirl.
No,
I've heard you.
It was priceless. So I started walking away to feed my other gym. Come back to find out that my gym, the one I was walking to, is being battled. So I start throwing berries in there. I'm watching this person sitting there, clicking in their phone repeatedly, and I know for a fact they are battling the gym that I am currently feeding with berries. After about 20 minutes of this nonstop, me feeding berries, them getting frustrated with that they've made no progress at all, they finally walked away and gave up. To my surprise, they walked to my other gym. So I followed them.
Okay, see, he's actually done this to me. I actually went off and was battling a gym, which I never do. And he went off, and I beat the Pokemon, and I went back in to do round 2, because you have to beat them like 3 times each. And he had healed the Pokemon. I said, well, forget this then. And I walked away, because,
Now, imagine, I was able to do this against 3 different people on the same gym yesterday. And it is the most phenomenal feeling when you see these people walk away not feeling victorious, but completely dejected. The fact that they have failed to vanquish the foe. And what I was loving is, as I'm doing this, they all of a sudden stopped. Other people from my team started to throw Pokemon in. So as people are battling, I'm healing their Pokemon as well as mine. And I became the Pokemon savior. So that is the story of how I realized I had no life.
And that's why we love you.
Yeah, it's awesome because, it is about, Pokemon Go is obviously about, making friends. But I like the other aspect of pissing off every other team but my own. Oh, who am I kidding? I piss off my own team too. I will.
Aren't you like didn't you go off and tell me a couple of weeks ago that you went off and you would put like low-level Pokemon in gyms?
Yeah,
you were putting like Rattatas and the Spearows and stuff in there.
I actually at one point put a Magikarp, a CP23 Magikarp in a gym, merely because I stole it from Valor, and I really absolutely just didn't care. I already had my 50 coins for the day. I'm like, I just did this for fun. So I threw this low-level Magikarp in. And I remember sitting there for about an hour waiting for someone to take out my Magikarp, and nobody bothered to. So it was kind of disturbing that nobody, bothered. And then other ones